On the next all-new episode of Rooster Fighter. Back off! This one's mine!
I'll fight whoever I want to fight!
Stay out of my way!
Don't kill him! Look, that demon used to be one of the good ones!
But what do we do?
Leave this to me!
Rooster Fighter. Next Saturday at midnight. Only Toonami on Adult Swim. On the next all-new episode of Dawn to Dawn.
Those dudes are spirit mediums?
Hell no. They got the power to make their sound break through to the spirit world.
Come on, people! I want to hear you scream! Yeah!
Dawn to Dawn. Next Saturday at 12:30 a.m. Only Toonami on Adult Swim.
Welcome to our podcast, Toonami Therapy. We're recording April 21st of 2026. I'm Michael.
Yeah, hello, I'm Tommy.
And we're here to, as always, talk about some things we've been watching. Generally anime. Some of them on Toonami, some not. So we've got the ending of some series. Well, one of them ending their season. But those are both non-Toonami series. So we'll get to Vigilantes and Gnosia later. For now, let's go through the Toonami stuff. We've got episode 6 of Rooster Fighter. So basically, yes, there's the big flood that's causing all these problems. Remember that demon one, the good one that Keiji met in the previous episode? Well, he shows up and he's helping to try to, keep the dam protected from all the water. And then Keiji shows up and uses his powers to basically, fix everything. And then it's all nice. And it seemed like the demon, by the way, apparently I looked up, the term they actually use is Oni Beast in Japanese. So demon is maybe not the most accurate translation, but a bunch of places translate Oni as demon. Although sometimes they translate them as ogre like they do on Witch Watch. So I don't know what makes someone decide to use one over the other. Back to Rooster Fighter. It seems like he made this heroic sacrifice, but he survives. Everyone's happy. The main cast, has reunited and are kind of on their way. And then that demon guy, I don't know if he had a name, it doesn't, but he gets killed, so I guess it doesn't matter. Someone just shows up and kills him. So, if you were thinking that the kind of comedy show would have a happy ending there, apparently not.
Yep. Yeah, fairly good episode, I would say. I enjoyed it. It had enough humor in it to make it worthwhile. So, yeah, I think it was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't have too much in the way of complaining. Outside of it did kind of feel in a show that's mostly been kind of lighthearted to just have that, I was thinking, the guy probably isn't dead. That would seem out of place for the show. So he's alive. And I'm like, yeah, that seems great. And then he's dead. And I'm like, that didn't feel quite right. Okay. So episode 16 of Dawn to Dawn. So, yeah, basically they have... Right. So Momo has to fight the giant death worm thing, but then basically a bunch of characters who showed up earlier in the show show up to help. There's that guy she met at the beginning of this season who it turns out was actually someone who learned, a student of her grandmother. And then there's also, actually first there, the whatever it was that was possessing Gigi shows up and attacks everyone also. But then like some of like the aliens show up and also help, and they manage to basically they managed to beat everything. Like, they rescue Okarun and Turbo Granny, they defeat the possessed Gigi, and it seems everything's all good.
Yeah, this episode really felt like it had that thing that I can't pronounce to it. Deus Ex Machina or whatever it was.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, I can't pronounce it. Yeah, so because it's like everything is hopeless, and then all of a sudden this character from out of nowhere just happens to show up to save her, and it's like, okay, you weren't in the show anytime recently. You just show up at exactly the right time to save her, and yeah, it felt a little forced, but at the same time, I did enjoy this episode a lot. Um, I I found that this is surprisingly turning into one of those Samurai Champloo shows that gets better as it goes along. So, um, I I feel like the show's like hitting its stride. It's like it during the first season, it was kind of like a horror version of Fooly Cooley, and now this season it started to really uh, come together as a quality show. So I, aside from the out of nowhere appearance by that guy, I'd say this was actually very good.
One thing, I think when I was pronouncing it, I think I said Deus Ex Machina. I'm sorry if that's what I said. I apologize. It's Deus Ex Machina. There's a K sound in the Machina. It's a CH, but it makes a K. So if I mispronounce it now, I've got it right. I think. Okay. I think you could also say Deus Ex Machina. I think it's Deus Ex Machina. Wait, did I say the K there, or did I make the sh sound again? Well, anyway, Machina. Anyway, oh right, I should be talking about Don to Don. Yeah, this was a decent enough episode. I don't think offhand of any big issues I have with it outside of, I guess, hey, these characters we haven't seen for a while just show up, and that's convenient. Like the guy that Momo met at the beginning of the season, that was okay. We had recently seen him like 3 episodes ago, and it was reasonable enough. But like the alien was, how long ago did we last see them? Maybe it wasn't as. Let me see, what episode was it, because maybe it's technically shorter in episode count. It just feels longer because of the split. Let's see. I guess that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so like something like 6 episodes ago. So I guess it's not that long ago. It just feels more like it because, of the split between seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Still, that one, like I don't think we had any indication they were even in the area. So I'd still say that one counts as being a bit more of a problem.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. We've got Blue Lock, episode 11.
Okay, so Team Z works together, and Yuichi is able to smell a goal, and the rest of the team is able to have a chemical reaction, and they score a goal, and they win the game. Or at least they take the lead, and then Nagi's like, okay, let's go down and tie it up. And then they blow the whistle. So the game's over. They win. They advance on, including that trader guy, and then they discover that Ego had been doing the same thing with the other other four groups that he had been doing to this one. So yeah, so basically it's all just a big ruse to try to convince everyone to play better, I guess.
Mhm.
And they escape, and now they are moving on to the second portion of the hunter exam, and um, yeah. So overall, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, it was obvious they were going to score, so it's not like I have to say anything bad about the fact that it was predictable. It's like, well, they had the score, they had the win, so no problem with that. Um, I do think it's funny about that trader guy, how he uh, had such this emotional backstory, and now he gets to come along for the ride because of his great decision to commit a red card, which I mean, again, we if we go back to it, I'd like to know where that was on the field, because if it was where I thought it was on the field, it should have been a penalty kick. But um, yeah, I guess they figured it out. 10 against 11, they scored the winning goal, and we move on.
Yeah. Well, maybe Ego just looked at it and he decided, I'll allow it. Like, look at those other teams. There's like maybe only one interesting person on the other ones. Whereas here we've got a team that has a lot more interesting people. We should let them advance. So I don't know. But yeah, it was a little amusing to find out Ego when he's just saying, yeah, remember when I told you that you were like the last place of all of them? That's why you were team, X, why you were team like, Z and X and Y and all that stuff. Well, I just told everyone that. I just made that up. And everyone's like, what? Yes, but that explanation does solve one mystery. How did you divide 26 letters into 5 buildings of 5?
Mhm. Yeah, I asked that question, and then told me this, and I'm like, wait, I don't remember that. And it's like, okay, now it happened in this episode. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I was just assuming they skipped over the letter Q. Usually they do that. So uh yeah, so uh yeah, so they're all the worst players, which means that they're actually this group of players is actually pretty good, which kind of changes everything, because now you can't think of them as real underdogs anymore, because it's like, okay, they're actually right on par with the other four sections. So it's not like they're going, he's really player number 267 or whatever he was ranked. He's actually probably a lot higher than that. But, you know, Ego had to do that. So, yeah, that's him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Solid episode. Decent ending to the thing. We got reveals, and we're moving onward. It's all been very efficient and good. So yeah, can Blue Lock is stayed good.
Mhm.
All right. So then we move on from Blue Lock to Tokyo Revengers 11. So basically the main protagonist gang, they managed to win. Then that one guy, Draken, well, he gets rushed to the hospital and he's fine. I will not fine, but like he comes through and he doesn't die. So that's all great there. Now that I guess Takamichi has done the thing he needed to do, which was to make sure Draken didn't die, he just goes back to the present tense, discovers apparently he didn't lose his job this time, and he still has it. And then he goes off to, talk to, what was his name again? Naoto, that was it. Who says, yeah, we did it. Like, so my sister didn't die. Want to meet her? And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, so we solve things, I guess, this early into the series. I don't know. Yeah, I think it wasn't as bad as it's been the last few episodes, though it wasn't exactly anything really good. But I have to admit, I was running out of gas by the time we got to Tokyo Revengers and didn't make it through One Piece. But yeah, I guess for Tokyo Revengers, it wasn't too bad.
I could have done all the stretching out of the stuff about whether Draken lived or not, because so here's like the thing. We initially have some stuff where it seems like he's going to die. And I mean, like, by the rules of fiction, it's like, he has like, he's like got the emotional moment and then and then goes into cardiac arrest. Like that's what so many shows do. You get the emotional moment there, and then we of course get the familiar, instead of going like on like the heart monitor thing. And it's like, oh, is he gonna actually die? But then once he doesn't die right then, okay, he's gonna be okay. And then it just keeps going on. I'm like, yeah, we know he's okay at this point. Just get to the point.
Yeah.
That said, we did get the thing done. We're back in the present, so we can and I am interested in seeing what happens now, because it seems like the plot of the show has basically been finished, but we've got 39 episodes left and another season coming after that. So we're obviously not at the end. So I'm going to guess maybe something else must happen and I'll have to go back in time again to try to, stop whatever the problem is. Like,
Yeah, I just hope it isn't, this entire show isn't all gang wars and stuff. Like, I'm hoping there's more to it than just gang wars. But we have something else as part of this time travel thing. Or are we even going to still be time traveling, or is those are a lot of questions I have about this. So we'll find out.
so if they have to like go, if he finds out something is different now and he has to go back in time, what new development do you think it would he would have to go back in time to fix it? I'm thinking maybe like he finds out, for example, that through his changes, through his changes, it turned out that how far back did he go? He discovers to his horror that he made it so that JoJo didn't get an anime, so he has to go back and fix that, for example. Or insert other anime you really like there for the joke. I don't know. You have any random crazy ideas to toss out?
Yeah. Okay, the real idea, I think, or the fake idea.
No, let's just go with fake fun stuff.
Okay. Yeah, so he is going to prevent the second season of Fooly Cooley from ever being made. So so by doing that, he saves the reputation of Fooly Cooley, and everyone gets to look at Fooly Cooley as this amazing 6 episode show that never needed a sequel. and never got brought down by anything else. That's what he's going to do. Now, what I really think is going to happen. This is just a guess. This is just me having wild guessing. Is that he's going to meet Hinata, and then all of a sudden Hinata's going to be like, "Yeah, I'm with someone else," so he has to go back in time and change things so he can get together with her. That's my prediction. I have no idea whether that's right or wrong. I don't have any clue about anything about this show, so that's just a guess that I'll gladly get wrong if it
Yeah,
is wrong.
I really don't know much about what happens in this show afterwards. I mean, I accidentally, when glancing at the summary of part of the next episode, kind of spoiled myself on something, but I don't know if he goes back in, just a small thing. I don't know if he goes back in time, and if he does, why. I do remember there's this one manga called Fire Punch, which was a pretty dark and gritty series that takes place in a sort of post-apocalyptic future where there's all this bad stuff, but there is some weird joke stuff in it where one of the antagonists, their plan was that their goal is they want to travel back in time to make it so this one Star Wars movie they wanted to see wasn't canceled. Yeah, I've heard mixed things about the series itself. It didn't really sound too much like it was my thing, but I did hear about that. I'm like, okay, that's just kind of that's silly and funny in this otherwise apparently really gritty series. But
yeah.
Okay, so that's Tokyo Revengers. We'll see what happens next. Hopefully, it'll be more interesting than most of what has come before.
Yeah.
All right, so we move on to One Piece episode 773. So after we've spent, I think, the last 2 episodes of the characters basically making plans on what to do, they continue making plans and seem to actually finish around this time. They're like, okay, we got to go find this guy, which they, of course, pad things out of Luffy not remembering. Whereas in the manga, he just goes, who was that guy? Next panel, oh, that's him. Whereas in the anime, he's like, who was that? And there's all this talking, then he gets it. Okay. But anyway, yeah, we got that. The big thing is that Jack decides, okay, we need to have something happen. So he decides to start attacking the giant elephant. And then the elephant apparently can talk. So it's talking to Luffy and Mononosuke and saying, hey, could you help me out? And that's basically it. Well, actually, do we know was the elephant talking to them? I mean, I know it was, but I'm not sure if it had been revealed yet. Well, sorry if I spoil something that's from next episode.
Oh, it's not a huge spoiler. So are we going to just a spoiler type of question, but I want to ask it. Are we going to run into a character who has been featured in the live action pretty soon?
What character are you referring to?
Well, that was kind of the spoiler, I was talking about that princess girl.
Oh, Vivi?
Yeah.
She in the anime, I know she shows up again later, but I don't think it's for a while yet. I know
Okay.
she's not a big character in the series at this point. She has some appearances, but not particularly big ones or anything. I'm trying to remember. There's a part where I think she was there. There's this big meeting of a bunch of leaders. I'm thinking, was she there or was she not? I can't remember. I know there's some stuff with her later on, but not in the immediate future. I don't think so. She doesn't do anything big at any rate.
Okay.
Okay, you were talking. I didn't know you were talking about her. I thought you were like asking about Blackbeard because he got mentioned in the anime, and I think they might have mentioned him in this episode. So okay, right. So we got all that. All right. Well, that's it for our Toonami series. We'll move on to the non-Toonami series. We've got Yu Yu Hakusho episode 108. So Kurama goes up against Shiguro Gay, that guy who did the operation on Hiei, who Hiei fought like, I don't know, something like 10 episodes ago. I thought he actually died, but I guess I misremembered and he's actually alive. Anyway, Kurama wins and is like just basically saying, yeah, I'm just going to stick around as being a human. I won't be going back to the old form, I guess. And yeah, that was basically the episode.
Yeah, pretty forgettable episode, I'd have to say. And yeah, I think it's funny that we switched to watching just one episode for 1 week, and then it feels like almost nothing happened in the episode. So, yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and why was it called Goodbye Kurama? Like, like he didn't actually die or anything, so why did they name it that?
I guess you could say it was a goodbye to, like, his earlier sort of completely demonic self. You could read it that way, but it might have also just been they were trying to fool you with it. They've had episodes like the death of Genkai, and they're like, oh, you think Kurama's going to die based on this? Nope, it's a psych out. Okay, yeah, I don't have too much else to say about it, really, this episode, unfortunately. Okay, we go to the or do you want to do it in the regular order, or do you want to do them out of order because we're finishing with Gnosia and Vigilantes?
Yeah, out of order makes sense.
Okay, all right, so we'll move on. In that case, we'll do a different order. Let me just make a quick note to myself. Okay, so we've got solo leveling episodes 20 and 21. So Jinnu goes into that because he's still trying to, get to that place to get the thing. And he runs across that like girl, what's her name? Essel? Yeah, who he manages to kind of get to help him out in finding getting there. So yeah, she goes with him. They go there. He goes and fights the big boss guy. Actually, almost loses, and but she distracts the guy quickly. So for a moment, so he's able to win. He gets the necessary stuff, and then he leaves. Now he's gotten the last thing for the big super amazing cure thing, and he's able to use it to make his mother waken out of the coma. So yay, he accomplished his goal now. So she's back, and it's all very happy. Meanwhile, we've got all that stuff with the ants and that are on that island they've been talking a bunch about. So they're planning to get all like the major hunters to go there because, well, they probably thought, hey, that Chimera Ants arc in Hunter x Hunter was really popular, wasn't it? What if we were to do something like that? So they get, a bunch of like hunters from some other countries to try to all do a big assault on the ants.
Yeah, so one of my biggest problems with solo leveling is this business type of thing that they've got going on with all these, business meetings and, lawyers and suitcases and all this crap. And I'm like, I didn't come here to this series to watch that kind of stuff. I just wanted to watch it because, well, why did I want to watch it? I don't know.
You saw a female character you thought looked cool and got interested in the show because of that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's pretty
You
much
saw
it.
you saw Shaw and thought this character I liked this. I think this has a good design or something like that, and decided to check it out based on that. That's what I think, if I remember correctly.
No, you're absolutely right. Uh, but I did not sign up for all this business talk. And then even worse with the guy speaking in Japanese and having a translator and all this stuff. It was like, come on, this is going over the top with this. So, but it was good to see that Genu healed his mother. So that felt like finally there was a point to what he was doing, and it wasn't just him just getting more and more powerful and more powerful and more powerful. Instead, it was like, okay, he's doing this so he can help his mother. So that makes a lot of sense. So yeah, I thought it was pretty good, I'd have to say. So I don't really have any problems with it.
One thing that I have a little bit of an issue with, I guess, is I guess it's because I know this. So that like sort of like girl, the purple haired one, Essel. You know, I kind of liked her. I thought she was kind of fun. And by the way, I don't know if this is really a spoiler, but just to mention, she does not show up in the rest of the series. So
Yeah.
she never shows up again. I think, oh, it seemed like they were kind of, setting some stuff up with her, maybe. In fairness, apparently she's actually an important character in Solo Leveling Ragnarok, a sequel to Solo Leveling that's maybe canon. It's kind of confusing. Like it was written by like a different person, but it had like some support from the original author. So I don't know, but yeah, she's apparently actually in like a major character in that. So there's that. Just wanted to mention that, I guess. All right. So yeah, there's some good stuff in this episode. I do appreciate that Chinu actually it's like, yeah, he would have just plain lost if he didn't have someone else's help, which is something I kind of wish we would see a bit more in the series. So that was nice. We got like the reunion with his mother. That's good. That's like one of the things I think that even though Solo Leveling is power fantasy anime, it's stuff like that so many other anime like this just don't have. And I think it's just those little sort of features that are the reason why Solo Leveling was the one that was like able to just become the giant hit compared to like things like I went to another world and and I am now the strongest person in the land, and all the girls like me. Like whatever variation of that there is.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's move onward. So we've got Gnosia, episode 21.
Okay, so remember how we had a big finale where we got to say goodbye to all the characters and find out what they did, and then we found out that's where Yuri doesn't want that to happen, so that's not going to happen. Well, as it turns out, Yuri sacrifices everything. That way, Yuri and Setsu can be together, and we never really get closure about any of the other characters. And no one else gets to have their happy ending except for Yuri and Setsu. And the series kind of just ends. And I kept waiting during the credits. I'm like, okay, this isn't going to end the way it's going to end. There's going to be more to it. And I kept on waiting and waiting. And then it was just like, we're out of credits now. I'm like, well, I like that other ending better. That other ending, I would have rather had it end then than and Setsu go out with this great sacrifice. That would have been a really at least that would feel pretty fulfilling. At least A little bit. This ending I felt didn't feel like it resolved much at all. So I don't know. Maybe you feel differently. I did not like this episode. I did not like the ending of this show, and disappointed.
All right. Well, I hope you're ready to hear me ramble on for a lot because I was trying to, there's stuff I was confused about, and I spent a whole lot of time trying to look into information about both this and the game and differences and stuff. So I'm going to probably unload on a lot of that. Disclaimer,
Okay.
just a few disclaimers. I haven't actually played the game. This comes from me reading a whole lot of stuff. Like the Gnosia wiki has a whole lot of information on it that was good. And like looking at, I did watch like some bits from the game. But first, before I get into that, I want to just talk about the episode itself. So I didn't think that it undid though the like ending we had before it. Well, the anime has always been a little unclear to me when they keep doing these loops. Are these like actual alternate universes? Do those universes keep going on after Yuri leaves them, or in a bunch of cases end up being destroyed? Or are these or does it like that just didn't happen? It just reset is the thing. It's never been quite clear to that. So when Yuri goes through all the loop stuff again, it's not clear to me whether that was undoing the sort of ending we saw before when, it said what happened with all the characters. If it is actually just rebooting it, I don't think Yuri going in the past actually undoes that, because what I took from that was that Yuri just did all the loops, got the silver key ready, and then everyone just basically had the same ending that they had originally, and then Yuri went off into that other universe to find Setsu. Whereas if you just see them as alternate universes, it's like, okay, well, hey, everything did turn out great for that people in that universe. Not so much every other single universe we've seen in this show, where like there's always someone who dies and the bunch some have the Gnosia win and stuff. So I don't think it really undid that. And by the way, one quick comment I wanted to make, because it was something that I found so confusing that I was checking. When it was going through this at the end of episode 18, when it's going through all the characters and what happened with them, for Shigemichi, it says something like he shouted, "I want to be a little gray," and then disappeared soon afterwards. That is a reference to something in the game that I think they took out from the anime, or at least I don't remember it in the anime, because in the game there's this part where he talks about how like 1,000 years ago these creatures showed up on Earth that were apparently aliens that were called little grays that looked like him. And he says, hey, I wonder if maybe that was me. What if I went back in time and the little grays were just me? And the other characters all say that's really stupid. So, but the implication is supposed to be, oh, no, he like said that and he somehow did go back in time and were the little gray. So he was actually right all along in his crazy idea. But I don't think that setup was in the anime. Do you remember that? Do you remember Shigemichi saying anything like that?
No, I don't remember that.
Okay, so I think it probably was omitted from the ending, which is weird because otherwise it's omitted from the anime but without it, his ending doesn't make sense. All right.
Yeah.
That aside, back to the anime. The problems I have with its ending, I don't have a problem, is so Yuri goes and gets to Setsu, gives Setsu the silver key, everything gets solved. Setsu doesn't have to keep looping anything. They then have the final, they have the Gnosia finding meeting, but then Setsu reveals basically that SQ is Gnosia, because SQ in this one, as in some other ones, remember how, like, what was her name? Maran, SQ's sort of mother, like, tried to transfer her consciousness into SQ, and we find out every time Setsu was Gnosia was one where that worked. So then, basically, Setsu talks Maran, was that? Okay, I need to make sure I'm saying this name right. Let me look it up. I know it starts with an M. Into, hey, well, we don't want to sacrifice Setsu, so here, I'll give you the silver key and we can transfer your mind into this doll, which turns out to be, Kakrushka's and that will like, and then you can go into the other dimension and loop, and you get to live forever through the loops in the doll's body, and you'll be happy, and that's what you want. And she just agrees to it, I guess. So that's and then leaves, and then that's, I guess, the origin of Kukrushka, which, so here's my problem. So we get all this stuff about what I was looking at it. What was it? Manan, that was it. Who like really hasn't gotten much focus. We did have like, SQ talk about her backstory, and there was the implication, yeah, sometimes when we met SQ it was her, but it's kind of like just a weird thing to focus so much on this sort of secondary character. And then this is like apparently the origin and explanation for Kukrushka, which, I mean, this whole time I've been thinking, okay, Kukrushka a lot of times seems like, kind of nice and stuff, but then she just goes psycho in that one timeline. What was the reason for that? We only get like the implication. We know that Manan was obsessed about Remnan. So the implication, I guess, is, loop where it's just those two. She goes crazy and tries to get rid of everyone else. So, but then I don't know. I just don't think it fits that well for me as an explanation for Kukrushka's like behavior throughout the series. Like with what we know about Manan, why did she? Because she was like basically evil, and Kukrushka does not feel like she's always done that. Sometimes, yes, but not all of them. Maybe you can say that because they mentioned, this process, well, it might, like splinter your personality, which actually does result in a great line by Gina, where she said, what did she say? Don't worry, even if your personality is completely torn to shreds, at least nobody will miss you. That was a great line. So maybe you can say it altered her personality to make her nicer sometimes, because remember, Kukrushka can't talk, so we have no information about how the personality might have been shifted. So that's basically the issues I've got there. All this sudden attention on this sort of secondary character giving an explanation, I didn't find that satisfying for Kukrushka. But yeah, that's, I guess, the big reveal. Kukrushka was Manan all along, all those loops we saw. That's why for her credits thing would mention that she suddenly disappeared. Well, that must have been a loop. She apparently has longer loops than Yuri. Mm-hmm. That said, and then there's the fact that, so they're back in this universe, but this is one where most of the characters didn't make it off the planet, so I guess they all died. Like in the original universe, things seemed fine, but in this one, it's weird that it just shortens it down. So, yeah, so that's a bunch of my... So I don't think I disliked as much, I had the problems as much as you did, but I did find it kind of weird and confusing the way it did stuff. I feel like most of my problems actually come from all this like SQ, Kukrushka, Manan stuff, which I just don't think felt very satisfying to me. Mm-hmm. Now, let's see.
Now, are you ready to rant?
No, not rant, ramble. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a bit about some differences in the game because they actually kind of matter towards the end. So here's what happens in the game. A few things. The way they treat like the whole bug thing is different. That's just a role in the game that characters can be. And if they make it to the end of like the loop, then it's actually a loss unless you're the one who's the bug, because their existence is like eradicates the universe or something. So you need to like not have them get to the end of it, unless once again you're playing as one. Now, in this one, they made Yuri just that, and that was and they said Yuri because the original Yuri got killed by the Gnosia. They were the first victim, and that's why in the loop where there wasn't any Gnosia, there was that other Yuri that was around, and whenever Yuri and the original one come in contact, everything goes kerplooey. And that kind of happens in the game also. There is sort of a loop where that happens. Specifically, as the game goes on, you can like you have greater control over what like the conditions at the start of the loop. You can choose how many crew members there are, how many Gnosia there are. You can choose your role. And it's apparently possible to change it to 0 Gnosia, which then gives you that. There's no Gnosia. The original Yuri's around. For the record, in the game, the player, you never actually see them, and you can pick your name. I'm just going to keep calling them Yuri. Okay. Their role in the game for simplicity. And then, that happens and Setsu like mentions, well, the only way to solve this is to like get the silver key filled. So do that. So you need to get through all the events, learn all the stuff about the characters and get there. Then you go back to that and you get the ending that we saw in episode 18. Setsu takes the other, Yuri goes off. There's a little bit of a difference here because in the game, Setsu just basically takes it off into a regular loop. Whereas in this one, it talks specifically about being an alternate universe with its own timelines, where Setsu mentions it's like a game file where, they can't interact with each other. And then we have this stuff. We got the rest. Yuri has to make the silver keys, all that, do go through that again. The game, after you get to the ending, you go through, you get to that, like, you get the silver key filled up and you get that ending and Setsu goes off and then credits roll. Here's how you get, like, that's a normal ending. You get to the true ending by you start you start a new game. You literally just start a new one. And then once you've won the game, at the beginning of the game, Setsu, like, greets you and you get like a dialogue choice. And previously what you chose didn't really matter. This time you have a new option, and that refers to something that happened during, the main game, which makes Setsu realize, oh, you like, I can't remember exactly how it was explained, but something like what Yuri does here, like you transfer your mind to this other Yuri in that universe, and then that completes Setsu's silver key, makes it so that they won't be looping, and then we get basically the same stuff as we do in the anime. But there's one final extra thing where when they're like going to like go to warp and Setsu starts talking about some things, and in the game, I can't remember if they said this part in the anime, but this thing about how, like, well, you're here, but I have the feeling that you'll be like gone soon, or you'll be out of this universe. And then just before they loop, Setsu thank you for being there. Emphasis on the word you. And what's happening there is that Setsu is actually literally essentially breaking the fourth wall and asking and thanking you, the player, for starting the new game and going and basically using that to help them out, so to free them from the loop. That's what's happening there. Obviously, that's completely impossible in the anime. You can't have the game mechanics. It doesn't make sense. So they just came up with an alternate thing about Yuri getting all of like the new silver key and stuff and such. So that's like a big difference. Now, the anime does add that final thing after the credits where you see Yuri, is there and wakes up, but it's so ambiguous. Like, okay, did the two Yuris merge? Is that what happened? Is the Yuri we know, did they get cast back into their own universe and this is just the new one? Did the Yuri we know get removed from existence? It's that like brief glimpse does not tell us anything. So yeah, that's all of my babbling on differences. So the game, I feel like the anime made it make more sense and less sense at once, because it clearly, like, it gives an explanation as to why there's a second Yuri. It says, okay, Gnosia made them. Yuri's like not the original one. Whereas the game, from what I can tell, I don't think it offers a clear explanation of why there's like you're the second Yuri. Maybe you could say, okay, if we look at it from the meta narrative, it's because you put yourself into the game and your existence therefore is sort of an anomaly, but it doesn't explain why you become the other the Yuri in that, like a duplicate. So as far as I can tell, from what I've read and stuff, and this includes looking at some stuff in the game script, I might have missed something, but this, as far as I can tell, is the case. So that explains it. But then we go through all this complicated stuff about getting the silver key and Yuri's cyberization, entering Gnosia, but the Gnosia not devouring Yuri, and that's all very confusing. So it did kind of explain some things a little better in some ways, but in other ways it was more confusing. So that's my lengthy description of some stuff about differences. So I don't know if that made you like the anime more or less, or didn't have any effect at all.
That didn't really affect me. It's like, uh, I, I just, I, my hope for this show was whenever Yuri at one point said, I'm gonna get it so that we can all have our happy ending, and I was expecting we were going to have like a really satisfying ending where everyone, accomplished what they wanted to and all that, and we never got that. So, uh, yeah.
I think we did get that in episode 18, even if it is just. I feel like even if you view it as a case of Yuri going in the new loops undid that, Yuri still at the end of it seemed like everyone was around except for Kukrushka, who the anime mentioned that when Yuri is doing the new loops, Kukrushka is never there, which is weird. I don't understand why that's the case. I saw some like guesses people made, but they're just all guesses, so it just didn't make that much sense to me. But I got that there. It was this when we switch over to the stuff with Yuri and Setsu, that's in the alternate different universe. The original universe still got its happy ending. It's this like alternate one where I guess these are the only survivors and everyone else died.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, other question. It is a little weird because again, Kukrushka going off into that, that apparently with her looping caused a bunch of deaths themselves. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that. But SQ's okay in this timeline. That's worth it, right? I don't know. Like I said, I don't have the stuff that bothered you. I don't actually mind. My problem is just I did not find all the stuff with Manan and Kukrushka satisfying. I don't think it made that much sense in a number of ways, and I just don't find it interesting as an explanation for Kukrushka, who I did kind of like. So just saying, oh, she was evil all along is like, okay, that's not very interesting to me.
No.
But so yeah, I've spent a lot of time complaining, but for the most part, I still think it was an okay ending. For the most part, I think it was a decent. So I think it was like the best that we did of the stuff that we watched. Like in their sort of second May Madness thing, which was not in May, but I think it was still my favorite of them. I might have liked To Your Eternity more, but we kind of dropped it, and I still need to get back to checking it out more. So I don't know.
Yeah, what was the other stuff that we had in our because this one made it to the end, so this one obviously won.
Well, so did may I ask for one final thing?
That's right.
This one lasted longer because it's longer.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
That was let me double check. What was it? You want to just talk about the ones that we ended up actually going? So by the end of those, we were watching Sanda, The Dark History of the Reincarnated, Villainess, May I Ask for One Final Thing, To Your Eternity, and Gnosia. Those were the ones. We kind of dropped some of them. You really didn't like To Your Eternity, although I was more interested in it. Sanda and Dark History, we kind of lost some interest in those midway through. I think we might have watched them until the end, if not for the fact that just for our scheduling, it was a lot easier to drop them so that we could watch stuff like Spy Family and My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, of them, we got through. May I Ask for One Final Thing and Gnosia at the end. Based on some of your comments, I don't know which one you liked more. I thought Gnosia was the better of the two, but I don't know if you agree on that.
I like May I Ask better than Gnosia, but Gnosia, it was good. It just didn't have a satisfying solution to the show.
My other question is, we spent 3 episodes on this epilogue, but most of this was anime original content, remember? Because in the game, you just start a new game and that like brings you to the true ending when you choose the dialogue option. And it's fine that the anime spent time on Yuri doing this stuff because again, that can't work in the anime. That's like sort of solution. You have to come up with something else. But I'm thinking, I feel like we could have done all of this in 2 episodes instead of 3. And maybe you could have used that remaining episode to include more stuff from the game earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, including that little bit with Shigamichi so that his ending actually made sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, I had problems with the ending. Also, since it's my last opportunity to mention, and I'm just going to say, I still think Comet's outfit makes no sense. It's just like, I know it's like, it's not just that it's fan service, it's that I don't understand, like, how does that top part stay up? If it had just gone down a little more and actually covered her chest, I'd be like, okay, that makes sense, but it doesn't, and I'm like, how does that stay up? Why is she even wearing that? It's not like that just as fan service, that it's just fan service. It doesn't make more sense. There's fan service that's more blatant that bothers me less, because at least it kind of makes some sense. Like Kill la Kill was more blatant with its fan service. I find it less annoying because at least it made more sense. Ugh. Oh, fun fact. Apparently in the Japanese version of the game, it lists Comet's age as 16, and that's removed from the English version. It just says age unknown, and some people speculated maybe they thought that, if they said it was 16, they might have to, like, censor her, like, design if she was just 16. So they just removed that.
Yeah, that's what they did with Dead or Alive, that video game. They, like, the main character was given a question mark for her age because she was originally supposed to be under 18, and that wouldn't fly, so they just had them put a question mark there.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just my bit there. So that's all my talkings about it. I haven't played the game. I don't know how stuff matches up, but that's my. I'm sorry for anyone who just heard me babble on about differences about after all this stuff. I just did it because I spent a bunch of time looking at this and thought people might be interested. I think I got through everything. So yeah, I think it was decent. I'd probably give it, I don't know. It's weird because I often like want to give a 0.5 to something, but because I'm like, I can't decide between these two numbers. But then now I'm thinking, well, I don't know. Now I need to choose something between between parts. Like, I'm thinking, I don't want to know if I want to give it a 7.5, but it seems like it deserves more than a 7. So but I don't want to go that far, and I'd probably just give it a 7.5.
I gave it a 7.
Okay. If I had to round, I think I would round to a 7. But yeah, 7.5 is about where it was like on my anime list. What was it? It's currently at a 7.86. So that's like, pretty respectable. So that's basically it. I thought it was a decent show. Definitely don't regret watching it. Although I did have some problems with some of the things, and the ending just felt a bit unsatisfying to me on the whole. It had some, I was fine, like, again, with like the stuff about Yuri going and giving it to Setsu and stuff, but then we just devoted all to the secondary character. Well, I'm repeating myself. I'm not going to repeat myself. I need to move on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Things like this are the problem when I look at the wave files after recording. I'm like, dang, this whole thing is just me while you're not saying anything. I need to avoid that. Okay. Any final comments about it?
Nope.
Okay, maybe we should have put that one at the end instead of Vigilantes. So, because we still have to discuss that. All right, My Hero Academia, Vigilantes, episode 26, end of the season. All right, so Knuckle Duster and that other guy, it's not clear what happened to them because they like don't find, like, the police don't find them there, although they like found some blood. So I guess both of them survived. Maybe it's not clear. Captain Celebrity heads back to America, and Koichi. Basically, we just do a time skip. We jump forward several years, and he's going to graduate. He said, "Yeah, I think I'm probably done with all this vigilante stuff." But we have another season's. Well, we don't have another season confirmed, but there's more to come. So I assume he's like going to actually go back into it, and then we just get a tease of other stuff, and then the thing's done basically.
Yep. Yeah. Maybe we should have done this one first, but it doesn't matter at this point. Um, uh, yeah, so uh, kind of wrap things up, although we again don't really find out about Knuckle Duster again. It's another one of these things where it's like, okay, maybe he it's like we know he survived, but it's like it's made to be unclear in the anime. So yeah, and Koichi is moving on, and Pop Step is upset. But then that begs the question: why is Pop Step staying at his place if she's that young and he's that old? That kind of doesn't make much sense to me. And yeah, just a average end to the season, I would have to say. I gave this show a 6 out of 10.
You mean like you mean this season, right?
Yeah, the
Or do you
season.
Okay, you said show, so I was thinking, are you you
Yeah,
gave the whole
season.
thing? I thought you at least liked the first season more. Okay.
No, the
Um
season. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I think like this honestly, I think the last few episodes of the season were pretty solid. This one, I mean, it has a problem of it being kind of feeling like an unfulfilling ending, but again, if we get another season, that thing's done with. We probably will. My Hero Academia is popular. The Vigilante spinoff, not as much as the main series, but I'm pretty sure we'll get more at some point. The quest, but talking about yeah, this is a perfectly fine episode for the most part. I would like to know more about Knuckle Duster, but again, that's like this episode. For all I know, when the next season comes back, he'll be in the next episode. So like
Yeah.
right away. So I won't criticize it for being a bit ambiguous on that. But the season as a whole, like the middle part just wasn't that great. We
No,
really
no.
there's like Knuckle Duster was gone after being the best part of season one. We wasted so like 3 episodes on that Eraserhead flashback that just ground this pacing to a halt and didn't give
Yeah.
us any information that was important.
Mhm.
So that's basically like the problem. If the next season focuses more on the stuff that we saw in the last few episodes, I think it would be interesting. But yeah, my enthusiasm is dampened a bit after this season, which was a pretty notable step down from the first.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely a step down from the first season. Makes me wonder if I gave it too high a score. But um yeah, that flashback that oh that flashback was just ridiculous. And I don't know if it was one of these things like where they like figured out like, okay, people care more about the original characters than they do about the newer characters, so let's just go back and uh spend more time with the original characters. Kind of like that one show did. What was it called?
Can you like maybe describe it? I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know what it is. I'm just trying to. It
Like,
it was it was a CBS show called Kevin Can Wait, and like basically they they had the same people who were on, I think, the King of Queens, and they realized that uh, the one woman had much better chemistry than the person who was actually his wife. So they killed off his wife to get the other woman as the the main foil to the main character. So kind of like that. It's hard to describe without me knowing the characters' names or the actors' names, but but that's kind of what it felt like me. It's like, okay, this other character people like more, so let's go and focus in on that character and forget about newer characters.
Okay. It looks like, unfortunately, I'm looking at it. It didn't seem to help things because it got canceled after the second season.
Yeah, it did. So it didn't really save the show at all, but that was their last ditch attempt at saving it.
Yeah. What's like? I'm wondering about. I feel like there's some other things like that. I'm just trying to think of what are like weird ones where they just like have some weird thing happen because something like that. I mean, like the obvious one is the end of that one season of Dallas, which says, yeah, the whole previous season was just a dream.
Roseanne was like that too, wasn't it?
Yeah, that is what happened at the end of the series. Well, it's a slightly different because what happened with Roseanne, from what I understand, is the final season like really changes stuff because like the family wins the lottery, and then it's all about that. And a bunch of people I heard didn't really like that last season because of that. But then at the end, like Roseanne, like the character is like saying something like, "Yeah, like this is all like just been a book that I wrote, and I changed the stuff I didn't like. For example, they didn't win the lottery," and just lists off some other differences, and that's the end. So of the end of the series, and then it came back, and I don't know what happened with the show, like when it came back years later, how it continued it, but
Roseanne died of a drug overdose.
did she?
Yeah, in the
Oh,
show, that's how her character died.
wasn't that because wasn't that be that yeah that well that was like in the sequel one. That well, she had to be written out because like the actress, like didn't she like say some really controversial things, and they like decided to get rid of her for that reason?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's how her
Okay.
character died, was by
Okay.
dying of a drug overdose.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's so that's what. But Roseanne, at least like it said, yeah, stuff kind of happened just differently. Dallas just basically pressed delete on the previous season. It's like really it's like what the show is best known for, the fact they just like press delete on the previous season. I don't know if any show has ever done anything quite like that since. Just saying, yeah, previous season just totally a dream, we're going to completely ignore it. um I mean, I guess you can say like Blue Exorcist and Full Metal Alchemist. No, not Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, because that didn't work. Blue, because that started from the beginning. Blue Exorcist season 2 kind of did that, but it where they just ignored all the filler stuff. But that's like not quite the same. They never gave any in-universe explanation. They just like I was kind of thinking they would, like, you'd wake up and just go, "Wow, what a weird dream." But
Yeah, yeah. The original Magnum PI had something like that, where, like, at the end of one of the seasons, the main character died and was like in heaven or like in the clouds or something like that, and then they're like, there's like, no, we got to have another season of the show. So then it just started as if nothing had ever happened, and he was alive again. So yeah.
I just want to know what happens if someone's watching, Blue Exorcist without knowing this. They're just recommending, like, I'm going to check this out. So they get to the end of the first scene, like, okay, that's interesting. Next season, wait, what happened? What happened with all that stuff? Where I'm so confused. Yeah, I don't know what other anime do that, where they just like ignore that. I think Tokyo Ghoul Reed did that. I think it just like Well, that one was even weirder because it didn't like continue. Because again, so Tokyo Ghoul, the original series, I think followed the manga generally, but then when they went to Root of A, it just diverged from it. And then they made, as I understand, Tokyo Ghoul Re. That was the manga sequel to the original Tokyo Ghoul manga. They made that into an anime, and they just started at that point and just completely ignored the fact that they skipped over a bunch of stuff and the fact that the previous season, like, had all the stuff that didn't actually, that contradicted the situation. So it's even more extreme than Blue Exorcist. It would be like if in Blue Exorcist you got to the end of the first season and then the next season was just the third season. They completely skipped over the second season. So they not only like ignored the end of the first season, they just skipped over a season. That's my understanding of how it went. I'm glad that like anime seems to have mostly moved past that. We don't like have these sort of weird filler endings anymore.
Yeah. I except I will go to my grave saying that the original Full Metal Alchemist was better than Brotherhood. So never going to budge on that. But yeah. So that was My Hero Academia, and uh yeah,
Yeah.
just and so I assume there's going to be a third season.
I don't think a third season has been announced, but there probably will be one. Like it not being
Okay.
announced doesn't mean that they won't have it. They only no, that's not. I was thinking of one show, but I remember no, they did announce it there. But yeah, there's like Solo Leveling still hasn't had a third season announced. It's going to get a third season. That's like one of the most guaranteed things. The anime is super popular. It will get another season, but it still just hasn't been announced. So Vigilantes is more unclear area. I think it probably will. The franchise is popular, but you never know for sure until you get it for this. It's like, not like, it's at least not like, one of those random isekai series you have for like one season. And then at the end, you have absolutely no idea because, like, did this get popular enough? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh boy. So I will say I do still have some. I'm using this phrase again, but I think I said it like a number of episodes ago, but I'll say it again. I am cautiously pessimistic about the next season. Uh, No, actually, that's unfair. I will say I'm cautiously optimistic. I like the joke, but I think that better explains it. Yeah. May I ask for one final thing? That was what I said. I was cautiously pessimistic about. This one I'm cautiously optimistic about, but only because it at least seems like we're moving past the flashback. I reserve the right to return to being cautiously pessimistic.
Okay.
All right. So. Yeah, I mean, if we get another season, I expect I'll watch it. It didn't like burn through my goodwill so much. I'm not interested, but it did burn through some goodwill.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still not done talking. I should not have spent so much time talking about Gnosia because first let's talk about our favorites. Let's do our favorites, then we'll talk about One Piece.
Yeah, we'll try to keep this next segment a little shorter. My pick for Toonami was Dawn to Dawn for the third time in the last 4 weeks, and Solo Leveling for the non-Toonami, and my best girl of the week. Well, I was kind of low on choices, so I just went with Pop Step.
Yeah, it makes sense to go with a character you're not going to probably get any more votes on because I mean, I guess they could suddenly announce, "Hey, Vigilantes coming back later this year."
Mm-hmm.
It would not be earlier than the fall. Like that would be the earliest it would be this year. So for me, I'll say Blue Lock and Solo Leveling.
Okay.
All right. So after that, we've gotten on to let's see, One Piece live action episode 13, I think we were on. Let me just double check. Was it 13? I feel like I'm sorry, 14, episode 14. So yeah, basically, Nami's sick, so they go to this island where they think there's doctors. There's only one who's up at this castle, but since Nami's so critical in such bad condition, Luffy decides to make a trek by climbing. He manages to get her and Sanji there. The doctor there, Kureha, she's able to cure them, and oh yeah, Chopper's her assistant, so we know who's going to be joining the Straw Hats this arc, and that's essentially the episode.
Yeah, this I definitely felt was the weakest of the episodes thus far. Nothing against Chopper, it just wasn't that interesting, and it lacked the usual excitement and fun from One Piece, and seemed too serious in my opinion. And I know it is, there's supposed to be serious parts, but it just wasn't as entertaining as usual this episode.
Yeah, what I found weird is the fact it really it really seemed like they really wanted to make the guy shirtless in this episode, because like with Zoro, like, okay, so he's just randomly shirtless, and like they even just tell him, look, just put a shirt on, and like, okay, so there's there, but then they do it, but with Luffy and Sanji later on, although it makes more sense in those contexts because like they were being medically treated and stuff, so that makes sense. But ordinarily I wouldn't have mentioned it, not for the fact they did it for three of them in the same episode. That aside, I think I liked this more than you did. I can not remember much about this arc. The only things I really remember is, let me think. I kind of remember the villain. I remember Chopper, of course, and I remember Kureha. And yeah, beyond that, like I don't have that much to remember. So I'm going to see how things go. But I thought it was interesting. I liked it for the most part. I guess I'll just add. Maybe I was going to ask what you thought of Chopper, but we didn't really get to see that much of Chopper in this episode, so maybe it would make more sense to like evaluate that next time.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we got that. Oh, I will say one thing. We did have some stuff with Smoker and Tashigi gets to win a fight. So yay! That's I don't know. Did she ever actually win a fight in the anime? I'm not sure, but she got to win one. So I'll give it credit for that. It seems like the live action is giving her a little more to do than the anime, where she was just kind of around, and her main distinguishing feature seemed to just be that she looked like Yukina, Zoro's friend from childhood. A plot point that I'm not even sure why it's there, because I don't think it's ever mattered since.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting. Although on the whole, I guess you can kind of say the episode was kind of rudimentary in what happened. So, they just get to the place and then they take Nami to the person, and the person does the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. I think I would probably place this. It's a little tricky. I think I'd place this fourth overall of this season. After episodes 2, 5, and 4, but ahead of 1 and 3.
Yeah, I gave this episode a 5 out of 10. It was just average, in my opinion. Nothing special about it. So that's the lowest grade I've given one this season.
Okay. All right, that's it. Anything else to talk about?
Well, I think we've gone over our time. So I will save my talk about Digimon until next week because uh I've watched 42 episodes in the past week.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got 12 more to go to get through the first season. Then I got to get to the second season. So um yeah, marathoning that and um trying to get through as many as possible. I now have these dub songs stuck in my head. The extremely catchy and maybe annoying songs that are only available in the dub and show up every episode and sometimes multiple per episode. So yeah, yeah, I can just keep on hearing, hey Digimon,
Monster
champions of the
Friends.
digital world."
Wait, I thought it was Hey Digimon, Monster Friends to the boys and girls. Hey Digimon, champions of the digital world.
Yeah, it was something like that.
I haven't
Yeah.
seen this show in so long, and I can still remember that.
Uh,
Uh, yeah. Okay. I mean, I don't mind going on a little longer. Maybe not like a full in-depth thing, but I'm really curious because you mentioned that you wanted to make sure to remember it. So I'm going to remind you. What was like the crazy story you wanted to tell?
so maybe this isn't so crazy, but uh, I thought it was it the first time I heard it was that like Mimi, uh, it was like literally at ground zero on 9/11. That's like actual canon, and like she like helped out with people uh and like found other digi-destined people there at ground zero on 9/11. Like it's just so crazy, but it's actual canon. It's like it's completely true. I don't think it ever happens in the anime, but it's like from some audio, some like radio thing that's considered canon.
Hmm.
So, so yeah, Mimi was at 9/11, not killed in 9/11, but like helping out people at 9/11. So, yeah, that is that was bizarre, and whenever I found that out, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And now what I realized is that like Digimon was so much more popular than I ever gave it credit for because anytime I Google a funny phrase I heard in the show, it instantly comes up with a ton of results. So I'm like, okay, people know this show word by word by word. So this this thing is like crazy popular. I can't believe I never saw it until now. But better late than never, I guess. So we'll find out by next week. I should be finished with the first season, and then we'll find out how the second season goes because there are some new characters that I need to find out about.
Yeah, that was not in the anime because the second season that finished airing in March of 2001. So they couldn't have like even if they because so September 11th had not happened yet
Yeah.
at that point. So yeah, okay, that's something I didn't know about. Yeah, that'll be interesting to hear your thoughts on the series. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll
that
have
was
more time next week. So,
yeah, we probably will. So I don't think I have anything to add. I mean I've been finally I've gone back since I signed up for Netflix to watch the One Piece anime. I've been going back to finishing my rewatch of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3. I've been watching it. It like dubbed in Spanish. Again, I don't know if I'm actually getting better in any of this, but I do think your listening comprehension is actually best served if you watch something dubbed in a language and watch it with subtitles in your own language. I think that actually really helps. But the Spanish cast is pretty good for the most part. Kakyoin's the only one that sounds a little weird to me. I like Jotaro. The way in Spanish, obviously, he doesn't say good grief. He instead says like, "Ay, por favor," meaning, "Oh, please." And I just like the way he says it. It's good delivery. I won't go on too much about that. Maybe when I finish it, I'll talk some more about some of that stuff. But yeah, just some brief notes on that. You were talking about what you were watching. I'll mention that.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we can talk more about it next week when we have more time.
Yeah.
But we've gone over this week.
Yeah, nothing too bad about that. But yeah, I guess some people do want more like specific things, and we have gone longer than normal. Let me just check. Was there any last things I wanted to mention about anything? I don't think I have anything. So yeah, all right, so we'll be back here for next week. Now, important things, because we finished with both Gnosia and My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Next week, we're going to be watching 2 episodes of Solo Leveling and 2 episodes of Yu Yu Hakusho. We will also be watching I think a bit ago, they released a bunch of Licorice Recoil shorts. Like these are things that are like just 3 or 4 minutes for the most part, and there's 6 of them, but if you add them all together, it basically equals an episode. So we figured we might as well take the opportunity to watch that. So that's what we got. We got what's it called? Like Licorice Recoil, Friends of Time. Licorice Recoil, Friends Are Thieves of Time. There's just 6 of these. I don't know if we'll have that much to say about them, but we're going to check them out. So that's all of it then. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Every Saturday night at midnight, Adult Swim is building you a better cartoon show.
We call it Toonami.
And next Saturday, we've got a special look at Mortal Kombat 2.
It's a fighting tournament to the death.
This is a war for the fate of your world.
This summer begins with combat.
Get over here!
Toonami. Next Saturday night, starting at midnight.
On Adult Swim.
The Earth is in danger.
Move to DEFCON 5.
And General Fury needs a crack squad of heroes.
The planet's being threatened and we need a tough team to handle it.
Led by Captain America, can these superheroes band together and fight as one? Or will their super egos clash too much?
I got no use for hotshot amateurs.
Toonami presents The Ultimate Avengers, Saturday night at 9:30, right after Naruto. Hulk smash.